Reading like a historian. Here's a big question we have to ask ourselves if we begin to think like historians. Why did Europeans come to the New World? How would you go about finding the answer to this question? Well, pause the movie here. Pull out a sheet of paper, write down some of the ideas about how you would answer this question. Take about 3 minutes to do this. Write down what comes to your mind. Where would you go to find this answer? What would you dig up? And then, once you've got your list together, hit the play button and we'll continue the movie. Well, here are some of the things you might have written down. Personal documents, these things would be like diaries, letters, all those types of things. Government documents, shipping records, royal charters, advertisements. There weren't a lot of them back then, but there were some, come to our warehouse, buy this type of thing. Receipts, sermons. Yes, sermons. And these are only some. You may have come up with others. Now here's another question you should ask yourself. How much do you trust the documents you're reading? People always have a reason for writing whatever they write. Maybe most of what you write is written to get a grade. How much should someone trust what a person like you wrote trying to get a grade? Did they write what they thought? Did you write what you thought the teacher wanted to hear in order to get the best grade possible? When you read a document, you need to ask questions about that document. Who's the writer writing for? That's who is her audience. What motivated the writer to bother writing? We just talked about that a second ago. Does the writer have a special agenda? Perhaps he wants to make someone else look bad. Special agendas are called bias. Is the writer writing about something he saw or something another person told him about? Answers to these questions help us determine how much trust we'll put in what we read in a document. Finally, we have to place the document in context. Remember how you watched old movies from the 1950s and 60s and the language sounded strange? That's because we're always changing the way we use words. Cool used to mean only slightly cold to the touch. But today it also means something that's really in. It means that it's totally up to date on fashion and music and culture. The cool kid in the class isn't slightly cold to the touch. The cool kid is the one that most of the kids in class, they just want to have as a friend. Putting a document in context means placing it in the way that life was at a given time in history. Historians specialize in working with artifacts. Documents are one specific type of artifact. They require a special form of reading. This year you'll be working with a number of artifacts, but especially documents. You will be reading documents in class. You will also be reading documents and using them to answer what are called document-based questions. Our question, why did Europeans come to the New World, could be our document-based question. You would need to answer this question based on information you could gather from the documents you were given. You then need to take that information, put it together in a well-written essay-style answer. Once you can do that, you'll also be reading like a historian. We'll spend much of this year working on developing some of those reading and writing skills. They'll be help each step of the way as you learn to read and think like a historian.